Are you tired of the marketing guessing game? Does your website feel more like a digital billboard than a client magnet? If you're nodding along, you're not alone. And it's time to stop the uncertainty and start getting real results. Let's talk about your marketing spend. Are you just shelling out money every month and crossing your fingers? Do you ever wonder what impact your marketing is really having on your revenue? Well, it's time to take the guesswork out of the equation with Rise Up Media. We've been working with them for over a year, and the feedback from our fellow members has been fantastic. Rise Up Media is here to take your marketing to the next level. They'll even perform a full audit of your online presence, giving you the good, the bad, and even let you in on what your competition is up to that you're missing out on. And the best part, there's no obligation, no catch, no pressure. If you decide to work with them, their contracts are month to month. That's right. No long-term commitments tying you down. So what are you waiting for? To learn more about how Rise Up Media can transform your firms, visit riseupmedia.com/maxlaw, and Rise is spelled with a Z. riseupmedia.com/maxlaw.
This is Maximum Lawyer with your host, Tyson Mutrix.
So, John, you have said that lawyers should be healers, not flamethrowers. So tell me about that.
Well, it's along the lines of being a problem solver and not a lawyer, especially when we do divorce and family law. It should be much more about finding solutions to families and not making it worse. I think a lot of attorneys make it worse instead of trying to figure out how to make it better. Like, I don't believe in going to court until I've tried to resolve things. And a lot of attorneys don't believe in that. They just, fire off the complaint and see what happens and then try to resolve it later. And I just don't believe in that. I don't think it's good for families, not good for kids.
I mean, do you find that other family lawyers practice that way?
I do. And it's a hard thing to try to get around because it takes talking to your client to talk to their spouse to try to convince the spouse, don't go this direction because they might have an attorney that's pulling them in that direction. And I really think that it's a disservice to everybody. Plus, the court system's really screwed up. I mean, every state's got their problems, but in New Jersey in particular, we have a very taxed court system that, you're going to be in the court system for 12, 18, 24 months if you decide to go through it as opposed to trying to resolve things.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's torts that really bind up and jam up the court systems. Across the country, it's family law cases, it's domestic cases, without a doubt. I mean, do you think the desire is because, is it a financial interest of the attorneys, or is it a character flaw? Like, what is it about family law? Because I barely dabbled in it. Okay, I've had 3 cases ever. It was more than a decade ago that I've ever touched a family law case, and it seemed like it was really difficult to deal with family law attorneys from what I was used to. And so what is it about family law attorneys that makes it so difficult?
There's probably 3 cases too many, right?
Yeah, exactly right. They were all favors, quote unquote favors.
Ah, I see.
Yes.
So the problem with family law is there's so many different things within family law that are handled. Like, there's domestic violence cases.
Yeah.
There's people that have children that aren't married. Then there's, of course, your divorces. And then there's people that are already divorced that now need things changed. And there's adoption. There's name changes. There's all these things.
Real estate tax.
Tax. There's all kinds of things that have to be handled. So there are people out there that do this all the time, and those are great. But a large percentage of people that show up in family court are what we like to call dabblers, people that only have, 1, 2, or 3 cases, in divorce or the domestic violence or these other things. And they don't really know the law. They don't really know the procedures. They don't know how to resolve things without being a lawyer. And unfortunately, in family law, you have to take your lawyer hat off a little bit and start thinking more in a collaborative way. Like, how can I resolve things? Because people are already pissed off. They're getting divorced. Maybe someone cheated on somebody and there's all these emotions, but you got to figure out how to get around those emotions, because emotion's what's 95% of a divorce. The law's pretty easy. I mean, it's not hard. And I mean, very seldom does someone have something that really needs to go in front of a judge. It's very rare. Most of the time we can get around it. And I will say that most attorneys at least look at themselves in the mirror and believe that. And the problem is we've got 2 problems. One is financial. I mean, attorneys need to make a living. Sure. And I'm never going to say an attorney bills a case just to make money, but we need to make a living. Number 2, attorneys are scared to death of malpractice. They're scared to death of not doing enough. not doing enough discovery, not looking for enough information, not asking enough questions, because later on, if you don't ask all those questions, you don't want your client coming back to you saying, well, how did we not know about that? How did we not know about that? So I think it's those two competing things that really force a lot of attorneys to really go above and beyond what they probably need to do in a given case.
Yeah. Do you bill by the hour, flat rate? What do you do?
So my firm is transitioning to all flat rates. And I say transitioning because it's hard to just do all flat rates.
Sure.
It's a transitional period. So we've started doing divorces, flat fee divorces. There's certain categories that would qualify. But like we do a mediation flat fee where we act as mediators, but actually write the agreement, get them divorced. We do some where they already know what they want, and we give them like a little worksheet to like tell us what it is.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah. And then we've got like basic where no one has anything. And so we have all of those sorts of things. And then we still bill by the hour as well. But even there, we try to do payment arrangements and my whole goal is that it shouldn't be a barrier. And if you can't pay an attorney $5,000 or $7,500 or $10,000 to start a case, it shouldn't be a barrier to you getting help. So we try to figure out a way to help people within the confines of actually having a business, which is, those are the two competing things. I have to be able to pay my staff, pay my paralegals, pay everybody while helping people. So it's that dichotomy that's always, when you're an owner of a law firm, it's really hard because, people always want to give favors. They always want to, let me do a favor for this person, do a favor for that person. Let's do a low bono case here. Let's do pro bono here. And I love all of that. But at some point, we also have to make enough money to pay our staff because they all depend on us as well.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I ask is because you mentioned you don't think attorneys, they just bill just to make money. There is a firm, I won't mention their name. And I actually think, from a business standpoint, we're just talking purely business, it's a brilliant model. They bill hourly, and they have all these different things that must be done on a file. Their associates must do on the file. The reason why I think it's brilliant is that, again, from a business standpoint, purely business, from like making money is what I'm talking about, is you can't then go back and look and say, well, they did all these things for me. They did a terrible job. No, they did all these things for you. So for the file looks like they've done an amazing job because they've done all of these things. Maybe not all of them were necessary, but they did all these things to help, at least help with the case. And they're able to bill all that towards the retainer and everything. And I wonder if part of the problem is the billable hour. What your thoughts are on that?
I think it's a huge part of the problem. I mean, I hate the billable hour. If I didn't have to ever bill by the hour again, I would not. It's the one thing that drives me absolutely insane. I'm one of those people that does my entire day and then I go back and bill because I just can't. I don't like the whole idea of I just got off the phone. Let me go put in my entry real quick. I really don't like that. But it is the problem. And a lot of clients, they don't care how they get divorced. They don't care how the sausage is made, which is another problem. Attorneys love to talk about how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
They want the outcome. They want the outcome and they want to know what is it going to cost me to get this outcome. And so that's why the flat fee model is a more appropriate model in a lot of cases. Obviously, there's things we don't know. We don't know how the spouse is going to react. We don't know how their attorney's going to behave. But in terms of a hourly rate, everyone gets bogged down on how much the hourly rate is or isn't and all of this stuff. When really at the end of the day, we just need to figure out how to get our clients from point A to point B. And yes, right now we have to bill by the hour on cases that are truly, we don't have a clue what's going to happen. So we have to do that. But if I could get away from it completely and figure out like this magical way, and I've thought of things. I mean, we thought about flat fee, like parts of cases, like flat fee and like filing a complaint, flat fee going to court, doing sort of flat fees along the way. But clients, we've found out that scares them even more. If they see a whole like menu of here are all the expenses that you might incur, that scares them even more than just the average divorce in New Jersey is about $15,000 to $16,000. A lot of times they just feel comfortable with that. And that's a billable, like traditional contested case.
Yeah.
They feel more comfortable with that than giving me a menu of things because we've tried it and it scared them. They're like, well, what if I have to do all these things? Because they take out their calculator and start adding them all up. And they're like,
right, yeah,
crap, it's going to cost this much. I'm like, no, you're not going to do all of these things. But so I don't know how to get away from the hourly model entirely, as long as there's other attorneys out there doing it, because if they're doing it, it puts pressure on us as well. Because, if I get a stack of discovery from my adversary, my client's gonna be like, well, if I have to answer it, they have to answer it too.
Sure.
So now all of a sudden we've started this back and forth that's not productive for anybody.
That's the interesting thing about family law is that that you have to do that. Whenever you request it, you have to, I think that applies in a lot of states. I don't know if every state, but it does in a lot of states. How do you navigate the situations though with like a flat fee where it's like just a client that is sucking up all your time? How do you deal with those situations?
So we specifically set forth like how much communication they get with the office, exactly what we're going to do. The scope of service is very specific. And once they exceed the allotment that they have for communication, they do get billed for additional communications. And
I like that. That's good.
But that keeps everyone in check. I mean, probably in a given month, we have one client that exceeds their communication because they know, okay, I have 2 hours of communication with my attorney, which is a lot. 2 hours. And
they don't always think that, but
they don't always think that. And that's in addition to like an initial strategy session. It's in addition to getting revisions to their agreement. Those things are all separate. It's like above and beyond. It's like those little like nagging questions that clients like to ask. They wake up in the morning and they have this, this question that has nothing to do really with anything, but they want to talk to somebody. Sure. So we've done that, but the clients love it. The clients that have gone through the flat fee are so happy because they've talked to all their friends that haven't, and they know that they got a good deal and they got divorced, and now their spouse and them aren't killing each other. Their kids are happier. Everything is a better situation, and they saved a lot of money.
Yeah, they know what the cap is, unless they over communicate.
Right.
You had mentioned attorneys care too much about talking about how the sausage is made. I think I might slightly disagree, but so I'm going to ask you more about that because. Don't you find value from like just a marketing standpoint of demonstrating the value that you've added?
Well, certainly if you're billing by the hour, you have to, because you have to justify your bill. But if you're doing outcome-based billing, like flat fee billing, you don't need to do that because they're paying for the result. The result is I'm going to be divorced, I'm going to have an agreement, and it's going to be done in this period of time. But if you're billing by the hour, of course, you have to justify everything you do. Every phone call, what was it about? Every email, what was it about? Why'd you talk to the adversary? Why'd you send that letter? Why did you do this? Why'd you do that? So when I say don't talk about how the sausage is made, I'm talking like at the beginning of the case, attorneys like to sit down with clients and be like, oh, first we're going to file a complaint, and then we're going to go to court and do this, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this. And they don't understand, clients don't care about those things at the beginning. I mean, as they're getting billed, of course, they want to know what's going on in their case. But at the beginning, they don't care about that. They want to know, what are you going to do for me? How are you going to help me? And that's where I think a lot of attorneys lose clients. Sure. Because clients leave and they don't have that feeling of, this person doesn't want to help me. All they talked about are all these things that are going to cost me money. Yeah. And I know it's going to cost me money. I know it's going to be expensive. Divorce isn't cheap, but start talking to our clients about the outcome. Like, what are we trying to achieve for them? Like when I have an initial conversation with somebody, I say, what are your 3 goals? What are they? They can be anything from, I want to lose weight to I want custody of my kids. Whatever it is, what are your 3 goals? And then I write them down and I share that with them in an email that here are the 3 goals we identified. And throughout the case, I keep coming back to those goals. When we get off the beaten path because their spouse did something stupid, I come back and say, well, listen, your goal was to get this thing. Okay. If we get this thing, can you ignore this other thing that's going on? And I just keep them focused because divorce is one of those things that like, it's tit for tat. Yeah. Someone does one thing and someone does something else. And then someone does one thing and someone does something else. And and that's why divorces can cost $50, $60, $70, $100,000. Yeah. So you have to keep your client focused and unemotional as much as possible on what are you here for? Like what's important for you?
I love that for a lot of reasons because you can you can identify any red flags or like you head it off right at the beginning. I can't do that for you, kind of a scenario, or you can make sure that you're on track with everything that they're wanting. You could also at the end say, you told me at the beginning that you wanted these 3 things and you got these 3 things. And I think that's great. How do you deal with situations where they say they give you something on their list of goals that it's unreasonable or just unattainable?
I tell them right up at front.
Yeah.
I understand you want, well, I'll use custody because a lot of times that's something that comes up. I want sole custody of my kids. I don't want my spouse to be able to make any decisions or anything. I'll say, okay, I'll ask them why first. Why is that your goal? And usually it's some stupid reason like, he's an asshole or, he cheated on me or something like that. If they say something more legitimate, like, oh, he's got a drinking problem or he's got a drug problem or something, okay, then I'll go into it a little bit more and we'll talk. But if it's something really just dumb, I don't beat around the bush. I cannot stand attorneys that promise the world to their clients to get them to pay them.
It's the worst.
But a lot of divorce attorneys do.
Injury lawyers too.
Yeah, well, it's like it's really bad. And so from my perspective, I don't want to have to be looking at my client 6 months from now saying like, well, I know I told you that, but and give them all the reasons why now we're not going to get it, when I knew at the very beginning they weren't going to get what they were asking for.
Yeah.
So I try to adjust their goal. And I say, okay, if we can't get that, what would be the next best result or next most acceptable result for you? And I try to like get them to adjust their own goal to something that's more attainable. It may still be a stretch, and I'll tell them that. I'm like, okay, listen, we'll try to get that. We'll get as close to that as possible. But, you want to pay $1,000 a month in alimony? We'll try to get as close as possible. But if we get to like, $1,050 or $950, that's considered close. Do you understand that, we may not get exactly what you want, but it's going to be close. Do you understand that? And, as long as they can understand and we can have that communication at the very beginning, I'm fine with that. I just don't lie to my clients.
Yeah.
And the ones that want to be lied to, well, they can go somewhere where they'll be lied to.
Yeah. I like how big you are on setting those expectations up front. Because the whole idea of these lawyers overselling at the beginning, like I understand the desire to sell your firm, but like when you overpromise, you're setting yourself up for failure at the end. It just makes no sense.
It absolutely doesn't. And I'll take one step further. In my firm, when you call our office, you talk to a non-attorney salesperson anyway.
Yeah.
So we don't the attorney doesn't even have any contact with you until you've signed a retainer and paid.
Right.
So, which I wish more attorneys would come around to this, because still to this day, when I tell people I have this model, they look at me like I have 5 heads and like, how can you have a non-attorney sell? But they're selling the outcome. Like, what can the firm do for you?
Sure.
They're not selling how the sausage is made. They're not selling the process. They're selling the outcome. And if you get someone who's good at doing that, they build a good rapport with a client, because they're talking to a client on an emotional basis, not about their case, not about the law. When they come in to see the attorney finally, and we have our strategy session, the client's already has a good, warm feeling about these people can help me. And they hear everything the attorney is saying in a much different way.
Sure.
They're like, okay, I already trust these people. So if they're telling me that I can't get this, okay, that's fine.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because I hear all the time with Maximum Lawyer, you have a lot of people where they'll listen and we talk about our hiring process. We don't have an attorney involved in our hiring process, but the excuse I always get is, well, you're not taking money up front. You just need a signature. You don't need, and there's many other firms in Maximum Lawyer that do the same thing you do, where they sign people up, a lot of times over the phone, no attorneys involved. So I guess what advice would you give to attorneys that are skeptical, that think either they personally need to be the one that sells, or that they need to have an attorney that's on that intake team that's got to get the job done?
Well, if you own a firm and that's you, I would say this is the part where you really have a job and not a business. Because if you have a business, you have to start looking at things from a non-attorney point of view. And the people that feel like they have to be involved every step of the way are the ones that are probably the same people who can't delegate work to anyone else anyway. It's like,
Sure.
I have to do everything. It's all me. The people are coming here for me. Okay, fine. If someone comes for you, then why did they need to talk to you to sign up? They're coming because some trusted person or someone out in the world said this person's great. So you don't need to have your hands in everything. And quite frankly, that's time, if you own a firm, that's time you should be using to build your business and work on your business and think of other things to do. Work on your marketing so you get the right people in the door to begin with. But I really feel like you just need to talk to someone who has the model.
Yeah.
Because there's more and more people that do. I know a lot of like immigration firms and people like that do it, which I think people think that makes a little bit more sense. Family law, is like a little bit more complicated, people think, to do it, but not really, because you're talking about people in the most emotionally damaged person they probably have ever been.
Yeah.
And they're coming in and they just want someone to hear them. And that doesn't have to be an attorney. And quite frankly, if you are an attorney doing those, a lot of attorneys do them for free, which even drives me even crazier. Like we actually have a policy. Like if someone wants to talk to an attorney, we just do a paid consultation.
Oh, interesting.
And we just say, fine, you really want to talk to an attorney because, you need to know before I sign, I need to know what my alimony is going to be or whatever else they want to know. We just do a paid 30 or 60-minute consultation and they pay it. They talk to the attorney and then our non-attorney salesperson follows up and then usually signs them up after that consultation. So if someone really needs to talk to an attorney, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But I would say that's a very small percentage of the people that sign up with us, maybe 20% or less.
I'm very curious, and you may not know the numbers, but it's off the top of your head what your hunch is. I wonder where do the worst clients come from? The ones that sign up through the non-attorney salesperson or the ones that insist on talking to an attorney before they sign up?
I don't know if I know the answer to that.
I would love to know the answer.
Yeah, I've never even thought about it. I would say the clients that are the let's say not A clients that we have are typically the people we get from cold Google ads anyway.
Sure.
So a lot of them are hot to trot. So a lot of them will just sign up immediately because they need someone because they just were served with a restraining order or they just got a complaint we're served with a complaint. So a lot of them, so now that I'm thinking about the ones that actually have consultations, sometimes are a little bit more, they're thinking about things a little bit more and they just want to give it a little bit more thought, which there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
It drives me crazy. I'm in a lot of masterminds and things. And every time I have like a call with somebody and it's like hot to trot, like, give me your credit card right now. I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask questions first.
Sure.
And I need to know more and then we'll do it. I mean, so I look at it I try to look at everything from my perspective too. Like, is everyone just ready to give someone, a credit card for $5,000 over the phone? Not everyone is. Some people are like, listen, I did my research. I'm ready to go.
Sure.
Other people are like, let me think about this a little bit. And so I don't begrudge someone that wants the consultation. Now there are people out there that the consultation's so that they can hear what they want to hear.
Right.
And a lot of times those people don't even sign up. And those are the ones, everyone in my office my attorneys get upset. My non-attorney salesperson gets upset. And I'm like, listen, you make more money with the people we don't bring in than the ones we do.
100%.
So I'm like, if they didn't hear what they wanted to hear and we're never going to be able to make them happy, what do you think is going to happen down the road?
Yeah.
So
a guy used to rent office space from a great personal injury attorney in St. Louis. He used to always say that you make more money off the case you don't take the ones you take. Same thing you just said. I've never heard anybody else say it. So I think it's great. I love hearing you say it. I want to know, when it comes to hiring for that position, the non-attorney salesperson, what are you looking for in that position? Because you just can't pull any person off the street to do it.
You can't. I'm on my 6th one right now.
Okay.
So it's taken a while to find the perfect person.
Right. Yeah.
And I have her now.
Oh, nice.
So before her,
hopefully she doesn't hear
she'll be happy.
She might want more money.
And everyone before her was a man. Like I had men before her.
Yeah.
And I was looking for someone who was selling something, particularly something that had some level of value, like just someone who's been used to selling a product.
Okay.
So that's kind of who I was looking for beforehand. And then I put them into sales training. I have a sales coach that I have helped train these people and they've all did fine.
Sure.
They all did fine. But I realized men don't have the same, not all, some men do, but a lot of men don't have the same empathy that women do.
Yeah.
And on these initial calls, no matter who it is calling, you need to have a certain level of just empathy.
You draw that connection.
Yeah, you need to have a little bit more of a connection. So the person that I found was not someone who had any sales training whatsoever, but she had been through a divorce. She'd been through a particularly difficult divorce.
So she can really relate.
Yeah, and she, has children. And she didn't want a job. She wanted this job. When I talked to her, she was very much like had read about what we were doing as a firm, these flat fees and trying to change the way that people get divorced. She was really attracted to that and was ready to sell that to people because she was in all kinds of other like divorce support groups and everything. And she was like, oh my gosh, people need this. They need to like see there's a better way. So when I heard all that, I was like, okay, well, she doesn't have any sales background. Okay, let me just get her the training and see if it works. So we trained her and she has been outstanding because she had something that the other people just didn't have. I was looking for the sales, but I kind of just completely forgot that someone who has some first level experience and can tell people, maybe not like, oh, let me tell you what happened to me, but at least hear what they're saying and understand what they're saying. and respond to them in a way that only someone who can understand what they're saying would respond, combined with the receptiveness to being taught how to do sales, because that's another skill set. It's hard. I've been through the sales training, and let me tell you, when I do, on the rare occasion I'll do a consultation, just because it's a friend, it's like someone really important that refers someone to me, and I'm just like, I have to do this consultation.
Sure.
Even I get into my attorneyness too much. I lose track of, sort of the sales script. And the sales script is not anything bad. It's just, you want to keep people on track.
100%.
Get only the information that you need so that you can explain to them how we can help them or whether we can help them. So really, I think anyone, especially in divorce and family law, you got to find somebody who just understands what people are going through and is receptive to learning how to do sales. So if you can find someone with those two skills, I think you've got someone that you probably will do a really good job.
Yeah. Can you think of the name of the training, the sales training? Because I think people would love to hear what that is.
Yeah, it's S3.
S3? Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you learn about that?
Trying to think where I was in a coaching program for a long time where I learned about a lot of these things, will not be named, and nothing bad to say. It's just don't need any advertisements. So I learned about S3, and it's really good. It's like just a very systematic, specific way of selling. And what I really love about it is they have like weekly dojos where like she gets on for an hour and she just practices parts of the sales conversation with another student, so that they can practice outside. And I love that. And they get feedback from instructors, but and she doesn't follow it to a T, and I told her she doesn't have to. It's just a good foundation. And you need to always, it's like a skill set, any skill set. You got to keep working on it. You get better and better and better.
So is that something do you have like regular training scheduled for her so she gets better? That's awesome.
But I have someone who knows what they're doing, trainer, not me. And that's another thing. Attorneys, we all think we know everything. I don't know anything about sales, so I have someone else do it. Just like I don't know anything really much about marketing. Yeah. So I have someone else do all of that too. So you have to, hire the right people or at least get the right coaches and people that can help you.
I love that. That's really good. I'm going to shift gears, and you have something called, make sure I get the name of it. Is it Divorce Playbook? Is that what it's called? And what is the divorce playbook? I want to make sure I've got that. Is that what it's called?
Well, I mean, we have a divorce playbook is just something we give people that helps them understand mediation, but you might be referring to Divorce Shield, perhaps. So I also do like a men's divorce coaching.
Because I want to get into that too.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's talk about that then. We can get back to the divorce playbook if it comes up. But yeah, talk about that.
Yeah. So during COVID, I just sort of wanted a different way to help people. And I've been talking to all of my male clients, and they've all had very similar issues. Yeah. Really struggling with the emotion of going through this and not having people to talk to. Us as men, we're really bad at talking to other guys.
Just kind of bottle it up.
Yeah, we don't want to. And there's a lot of guys that live in like rural America, like in small towns where everyone knows everybody. They don't want to talk to anyone about what's going on. So I decided to form a group online of guys that can just join and talk to each other. And then stemming from that, I was like, listen, as an attorney, I know what they need to do to prepare for divorce. Like if they have time to prepare, I know what they need to do. Like, for example, they need to learn their kids' friends' names. They need to know who their kids' teachers are, who the principal is, who the pediatrician is, who their friends' parents are. They need to learn, I'm just giving you an example, some basic information that they need to learn, that if they don't know it, it's not like they're not going to get custody, but it's going to make it more difficult whenever their wife says, oh, he doesn't even know who, little John's friends are. Yeah, I do. It's this person. Like, it's just little things that as guys, particularly if you're you're working hard and everything, maybe you just don't know. So I came up with like a program where people can sort of put all these pieces together, everything from learning information, organizing finances, to protecting yourself against bogus domestic violence claims, which is another big thing. And then actually start looking towards the future. Because I feel like the people that have the worst divorces are the ones that are so caught up in the moment. They're so caught up in what's going on that they can't even see that light at the end of the tunnel. They don't even think about it. And those are the same guys. Women do this too. Same guys who, drink too much. They get out of shape. They sit around and mope around all the time. And then it makes it harder for them to even agree to something in the divorce, even something reasonable, because they're just so distraught about what's going through. So I formed this, and then I sort of became a men's divorce strategist. I don't like the word coach. So men's divorce strategist.
Well, I was going to use the word coach. So strategist, I like that.
Yeah, I don't like coach because I mean, although men do respond to coach, they understand. I explain it to guys all the time. I'm like, I'm just like a basketball coach. I'm on the side. We drop the play. I send you out on the court. If it doesn't work, come back over. We'll drop another play. But I really concentrate on the strategy of it. Like, how can I help guys prepare to go into the divorce process? And then to tie it back to what I do in my law firm, I help them understand the benefits of going through like a mediation process and an amicable process. And then I try to teach them how to talk to their spouse about it. Their spouse who they hate or they're distraught about, or my favorite. She told me she wanted a divorce and I had no idea this was coming, which is, I mean,
do you believe that?
No, I've never believed it one time. And every guy that I've ever worked with knows that I think that line's just a bunch of nonsense. It's just you weren't paying any attention.
I like your focus on the after too. So you're prepping them for it, but also the after. We had someone on the show recently, and the name of her firm is Happy Ever After, which I think it's a great name. Really is good. So you do the strategy, and can you do this with anyone across the country because of the way you have it set up?
Yeah. So I work with any guy actually anywhere in the world. I've had guys in other countries.
Oh, incredible.
But I won't work with anyone in New Jersey because I just feel like because I practice law in New Jersey, I don't want any unintentional conflicts or anything that might arise.
Okay.
So, but I have other people in New Jersey I'll refer someone to, because if someone in New Jersey wants my help, I'll just say, listen, we'll do some of the strategy and coaching and all of that as part of you being a client of the law firm. So that's sort of it's just easier to do it that way because it's too complicated, doing both sides. But yeah, I work with anyone. I try to only work with about 20 guys at a time. Just because.
So you really okay? I thought it was more like a bigger thing. So you're
really
limited.
I one-on-one work with 20 guys.
Gotcha.
So I have an online course too that guys do. It's basically just it's like 4 modules that they can like sort of figure.
How do people plug it? How do people find that if they want to?
So mensdivorcenetwork.com.
Okay,
has all the information about the programs, and the coaching program with me is very much a application process because I'm really big on, I only want to work with people I can help. And sometimes it's very obvious that it's somebody that they need more like a mental health professional and not a coach. And there's a difference between the two. And there's a situation where someone would need one and not the other. Sometimes people need both.
Sure.
I try to most guys I talk to once a week, and I run a law firm. So it's kind of like I'm spread too thin everywhere all the time, but
part of being a law firm.
This is what I love. I love talking to these guys. I love trying to help them untangle, how am I going to be okay? Because I've been divorced too. I'm a divorce attorney. I've been divorced. So I try to come at it from that perspective. I'm also a father. So, that too, most guys are scared of the same things. Am I going to lose all my money? And am I going to lose my kids?
Yeah.
Almost every guy's scared of those two things. So, so it's easy to come to a place where you can just sort of talk to them about those issues. Because if you don't resolve them, if you can't get a guy to or a girl, or a woman to understand that they're going to be okay, that they're going to be able to get through this, that they need to concentrate on something bigger than the divorce. If you can't get them there, they're going to get focused on the divorce. They're going to get focused on the day-to-day. They're going to get focused on having their attorney be their support system. And that, as an attorney, is what I really don't like, because they end up paying for it. And they end up paying a lot of money because we can't just not bill somebody to sit on the phone with them, 2 or 3 hours a week. We have to, because we can't work on other people's cases.
That's a great segue, because I want to ask you about that. So whenever you have a situation where you are doing the strategy, but you also have the strategy / coaching, maybe they already have a lawyer, or maybe they do need a mental health professional. How do you deal with those situations? And do you find that the attorneys are open to this, or do you find that they're opposed?
Some are open, some are not.
Do you ever get nasty emails?
I do. And okay. I've had many clients in the past that have wanted me on calls with their attorneys.
What do you do with that?
Or I'll do it if they want me to.
Oh, okay.
They understand that there's a privilege issue with that, but as long as they understand. I've sit in meetings with experts and clients, like some people are see, this is what attorneys don't always understand. Sometimes your client is so emotionally fragile that they don't hear what's being said. They don't hear it. They really almost need somebody to interpret what just happened.
Okay.
And attorneys are really, it's the whole thing. If you say something to somebody and go, do you understand what I just said? It's human nature always to say yes. But a lot of times clients don't understand what just happened. If they're sitting in a meeting with an accountant, and the accountant's saying all these things, the attorney's asking all these questions, and they're like, do you have any questions? I mean, sometimes people don't even understand what just happened. So I'll send in some of those meetings. It's not my preference to do it, but I'll do it so that I can help them sort of unpack what just happened, and I can explain it to them in a different way. I also help guys find attorneys. That's another thing that I've been doing. I've been toying with sort of a course in terms of how to look for an attorney, because most people just go and they look, what were the things people look for? Who told me this person was great because they got this great result for somebody else, or who's the cheapest? I mean, it's like people shop for attorneys the same way they shop for just about everything else.
It's just crazy.
It is. And so I try to help them understand like what to look for. Like, don't look for someone who dabbles, look for someone who does this primarily. If divorce and family law isn't like the major thing on their website, probably not the right person for you. So but most attorneys are open. They understand that we're there to help, not to hurt them or to make things more difficult for them. And I don't second guess an attorney ever.
What I love about it is, and when you were talking about it, I started to think about all the adjacent areas where you could branch this out into and make it so much bigger if you really wanted to. And I know that you're not motivated by this, but you could build like an empire around it if you really wanted to, where you have the mental health side of things. You could do pay for leads kind of a thing. There's so many things you could do with it. I think it's kind of interesting, but I want to shift over to something else though, when it comes to how do you avoid dabbling in, let's say you find someone in Missouri that you're strategizing with, and how do you prevent yourself from getting into, practicing law or giving legal advice?
So what will happen often is I will get like a letter or a proposed agreement that my coaching client attorney has prepared. Okay. My coaching client will say, will you look at this with me? And so what I'll usually do is I'll pose questions to them to ask to their attorney without flat out saying, what the hell did this attorney do?
Sure, yeah.
I never do that. I just sort of like pose the question, like maybe ask why it was worded this way, and maybe like, what is it that you want to do? Oh, you want to do this? Well, maybe see if there's a different way to get there. Just make sure the attorney understands what you want so that we can get to the right language. I try not to cross the line. There have been a couple occasions where I have just emailed an attorney directly at my client's permission, but not copy my client.
Sure.
And just been like, listen, I saw this thing in the agreement. Do you understand that your client actually wants this? I don't know if he was clear. He may not have been clear. I try to be very diplomatic about it.
Yeah.
And most of the attorneys are happy with that. I've only had one attorney ever that got upset that I was involved. And then what interestingly happened is my coaching client fired that attorney, because it was like, okay, well, if you're not going to work with my coach, then I'm going to go somewhere else. But I'm there to be a supplement and to help.
Yeah.
Not to be a hindrance, but being an attorney is helpful because I see things. I mean, I don't like the way, it's like any attorney. You see what someone else wrote and you're like, oh my God. And it's hard not to want to rewrite it if you're reviewing it.
Sure.
But sometimes you just have to say, okay, does it accomplish the goal? Fine. So even though it was worded like, a ninth grader wrote it and it's grammatically insane, it does what it needs to do. So it's okay.
I like about it, and I am very curious how receptive other attorneys are whenever they listen to it. But I'm kind of envisioning the times where it's kind of a difficult client where I'd love to have you as a buffer. You know what I mean? Like having that buffer. I do see how it could be a lot cheaper for the client if you're billing on an hourly basis, because unless they're paying you hourly, but or I guess, how do they pay you?
So it's usually like a program,
okay,
of a
that's certain
number of weeks, and I do unlimited like email communication with them.
Yeah, so in a situation like that, it's cheaper for them. They're not paying the attorney by the hour. It's something where you can help filter a lot of those communications, and so you can receive 10 emails instead of the attorney getting 10 emails, and you're that filter where it could be a massive advantage to an attorney, it's almost, you could sell it almost like as a concierge service in a way. I know that that's not what it is, but you kind of, in a way, it could be a really, I mean, that could be a massive benefit. I wonder why there aren't more of these that have popped up, unless maybe there are, but
well, there's not a lot of divorce coaches out in the world that are attorneys. I mean, most divorce coaches, well, anyone can call themselves a coach.
Sure.
It's like just plop.
So there are divorce coaches. There's
a lot of divorce coaches out there, but a lot of them don't really understand divorce.
Yeah.
So a lot of them became a divorce coach because they had a bad divorce themselves, or they went and got some accreditation from, I don't know who's accredited to do this sort of thing, but whatever. And so they don't really have the full background of like every step of a divorce and everything that's happened. Like I've been a divorce attorney for 22 years.
Yeah.
I've done I think around 1,800 divorces, something like that.
That's a lot of divorces.
Yeah. So I mean, at this point, I mean, I've seen everything, I've done everything. So when I coach people, it's with that background. So there's a lot of people out there that don't have the background, and so I think attorneys would be a little bit more skeptical of someone who maybe they don't think knows what's going on as much, sort of being in this role. But, when they're talking to someone who is an attorney but not acting as an attorney, at least then, like I've had attorneys help me convince our mutual client of something. And a lot of times I agree with the attorney that they need to be convinced of something. And so there are times it's a good supplement. But you're right. I mean, like, here's the thing I do more often than not. I just got this email from my wife. This is in the middle of divorce. Just got this email from my wife. Can you look at my response and tell me if it's okay? I get that probably 5 or 6 times a week. And that is or I get text message, same thing. Here's the text message. How should I respond? So that is something that attorneys just don't do.
Right.
I just don't do that because they always see the aftermath. They always see after the emails was sent and then, oh, look what your client sent,
kidding. Yes.
So I do that a lot and I help them rewrite things. And the goal isn't not to like hold their hand, but the goal is to help them learn how to communicate, learn how to put things through. And I love AI now because now I can like tell them, take what you just wrote, dump it into Claude or ChatGPT or Grok or whatever you want to use and say, can you rewrite this in this particular tone or that particular tone?
Sure.
I mean, so I'm trying to help guys understand that, use all these tools. You may be pissed off, but AI can make you seem less pissed off.
100%.
So let's make you less pissed off, which will probably upset your wife even more that you're unemotional, but that's better for you in the long run.
I like that a lot. Do you have some sort of community somewhere where the guys that are in this group can all talk to each other and be a support group? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So right now it's a Facebook group.
Yeah.
I had it on an offsite place, but I asked them all and they were like, no, let's put it back on Facebook. Particularly most of the guys that I work with are in the age group where Facebook's still in vogue.
It's still the best place for groups to meet. It really, with all
is.
the features, it really is.
It is. Yeah. So we have a strict, no women policy in there. Women try to join it all the time.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
Yeah.
Probably several times a day.
Why do you think that is?
They just want to, I don't know if they want to hear what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. So I have a podcast, Get Divorced Without Getting Screwed. And it's a podcast for men, but traditionally about 30 to 40% of our audience has been women.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think they just want to hear what we're all talking about, like what's going on, which is interesting because the things we talk about are the same things they're talking about. It's all the same thing. It's just this is the whole thing. How do you talk to a man is a little bit different than how you talk to a woman. Like from an emotion perspective, from like a what's important to them perspective, it's just different. And so, when you go back to coaching, there's a lot of coaches out there. Vast majority of them are women, and there's it's just one of the. I mean, I don't know this statistic for sure, but just knowing because I've been out in the community a lot, I'd say it's probably 70 to 80% are women, and because of that, most men, they might have a female divorce attorney, but when it comes to someone they're going to talk about, how they're feeling about things, they might not want to do that to a woman.
Yeah.
So I kind of, there's a lot of reasons out there why this group is probably doing very well. Because I haven't really, it's funny, for years, I didn't do any kind of advertising. I didn't do anything. It grew by word of mouth. It just grew very organically. And that let me know that there was something that was missing in the world, that people needed this community. And now, like, I stay in this group for, post-divorce, and they'll talk about, what's going on, what happened at this holiday, what happened at that holiday. My ex-wife just did this. What do you guys think I should do? And I chime in every once in a while, but it's like they just all are talking to each other now. And it's a thing of beauty, and I love it.
That's pretty cool. When it comes to, so you've got the group that focuses on men. Does the firm focus on men as well?
No, we focus on everybody.
Have you ever thought about making that shift?
No,
Why
because
not?
I first of all, I really like to focus on mediation. So obviously I need two people anyway.
Sure.
And I've always thought that if I focus on men, I'm going to turn off, a wife from wanting to be part of this process. In the law firm, we're focused on helping families, and that's how it's always going to be. Plus, I have a whole bunch of attorneys in the firm who, they represent everybody too. And I think if you start to focus too much on one gender, at least it's been my experience in New Jersey, that your firm gets a reputation, whether it's earned or not, of being difficult to work with because you're advocating so much for one gender when we really should be advocating for reasonable results, whatever, it should be gender neutral. And so I don't think I'm ever going to do that. And I don't begrudge people that want to represent only women or only men, but really because of what we want to do to change the way divorce is happening and really go to more of a flat fee model, I just want to help people and help people get through this process, because I've seen way too many people get it's like bankruptcy to some degree. People have gotten ruined by divorce.
Sure.
For no reason. I mean, I've had people fight about things like crock pots and IKEA furniture.
Things I hear from you all, the family law attorneys, it just cracks me up sometimes because it's
insane.
It's sad, but it cracks me up at the same time. So there's only a couple firms that I know of that like really push, like they represent one side, and it's Cordell and Cordell, like they represent men. Stangy, it's either, I don't think it's Stangy. I think it's just Stangy Law Firm is what it is. But Stangy is, I think they're in like 13 states, but Cordell and Cordell, they're in every U.S. state, I think, and then they're like in the U.K. It's kind of an odd mix. But I did want to ask about that because I was curious as to whether or not you did just represent men. But that makes sense. So do you think though, if you did it, it would make the support group stronger and vice versa?
Maybe. But what's interesting is the law firm itself is really not, I'm less associated with it in general, which is by design.
Good.
Because I want the law firm, I mean, I do have aspirations that this law firm will be in other states soon, because it's really building a model of how we can help people get through divorce. And it's less about me. I mean, I don't litigate anymore. I've been into 2 courtrooms since COVID. So I don't litigate anymore.
Nice.
So it's not really so much about me. So I want the firm to really do this. Now, as a divorce strategist, it is about me. I mean, that's who I am. So that's a little bit different. So I've never really considered this. I mean, I would do it if everyone in my firm wanted it, but everyone's more satisfied with trying to find ways to help people. And that's really where we're going to stay. I mean, I would say in our mix is about 50-50 as it is. And quite frankly, it depends on who they are. But some of my most difficult clients I've ever worked with have been men. So it's really an interesting thing, but I don't begrudge people that want to do just men and just women. We have a lot in New Jersey that focus on only one. Yeah. Sorry, the other. We have a Cordell and Cordell in New Jersey, but we have other smaller firms that just do one or the other. I feel like their taglines are always very gender specific, like,
sure,
like helping fathers, not lose their kids and stuff. And I just think sometimes it kind of flies in the face of trying to find reasonable solutions to divorce problems, which just means we should come at it much more from the standpoint of what's going to be fair to everybody. Because let me tell you something, there's a lot of women now that make a lot more money than men.
Absolutely.
It's all shifted now.
Substantially.
But I don't think I'm ever going to do it. I mean, who knows? Talk to me in 5 years. Who knows? I might have changed my mind.
We'll do this again in 5 years. Was there some sort of triggering event that led you away from litigation? Because you were heavily in litigation before, and then what made you want to do more of the mediation style?
So in 2018, I had a 27-day trial. In
2018?
Yeah, in 2018.
That's funny because I have a 5-week one. So you and I, maybe it was around the same time. So
yeah, well,
nightmare.
I don't know how yours was scheduled, but mine, the 27 days was over 7 months.
Oh no, mine was together. So wow,
that's how we do things
awful.
in family court. It's like you come in on a Monday and the next.
If your law firm is running fine, but you know you're capable of more growth, more freedom, more control, Max Law Con is where you find your next move. This is 2 days of strategy, systems, and straight talk from law firm owners who are actually in the game. No hype, no recycled advice, just the real stuff that's working to grow law firms right now. You're not showing up just for inspiration. You're showing up to make better decisions faster. You're showing up to cut out the guesswork and walk away with a clearer path forward. Because the truth is, trying to figure it out on your own takes longer, costs more, and burns you out. This room, it's where the people serious about building better law firms show up. Get the details and grab your ticket at maxlawcon.com.